Hey, Omega.
Yes, Yankum.
You know what's got two thumbs and is doing the show no matter what because it must go on?
Well, I know who.
Well, I mean, you were supposed to say no, and then I was going to say this guy, but you ruined it, so let's just start the show. And the theme song isn't working. Hold on. I got this. Let's just start the show. Okay then. Welcome to We'll Get Serious number 185. I'm Isaac Yankum, and we have with us, of course, our esteemed leader, the man of not just the hour, but every hour, Omega BR.
I thought you said you had two bums at first.
Well, no, that's the next person, which is Net Jester.
In the immortal words of Ed Whalen of Stampede Wrestling, I have seen menageries in my life, but this is the biggest zoo I've ever been in.
Well, okay then. Let's do something completely different since Gunnar can't be with us tonight. He had to work late. Stupid capitalism. Let's get right into the news, starting with the fact that Survivor Series was the only U.S. target on a list of proposed ISIS attack sites purportedly released by hacktivist group Anonymous. The event went on without incident though the city of Atlanta and the FBI took the threat seriously with an increased police presence, denying bags and checking fans at entry, and bomb-sniffing dogs. Creative went back and forth on the show's end late into the day, deciding to have Sheamus cash in Money in the Bank because, while they want Reigns to be champion, they don't want him booed in the process. The general feeling regarding Seth Rollins' injury is that no one would have batted an eye if John Cena and Randy Orton were still currently active, and that he was not factored into WrestleMania main event plans. Really? Survivor Series? ISIS? Yeah, it's a big sporting event. There's going to be lots of people there, but that's not really a thing that's going to have mainstream America pissed off.
Well, first of all, there's so much wrong with that paragraph. Where to begin? That Anonymous released this, and that was the only event that they released. I assume that this list of proposed ISIS targets had more of it on it than just Survivor Series. I'm thinking NFL games, I'm thinking college football, all the usual stuff. So why just release this? I think one of the Anonymous fellas, don't like wrestling or something.
No, it says it was the only U.S. target on the list. There were probably all kinds of stuff like soccer games and rugby and whatever else Europeans do.
There were a few very specific targets. A concert, I believe in Italy, Five Finger Death Punch, that's what it was. It was one of their concerts. That concert was actually canceled due to the threat. There was another celebratory thing in Europe that was canceled, a religious ceremony, I believe. They kind of got the feeling toward the end there that maybe this wasn't really a real list necessarily of targets that were going to be, definite, but rather a list of suggestions if somebody wanted to lone wolf and make something happen. And not to be an advocate here or anything, but a wrestling event is actually, particularly a WWE event, is actually a fairly decent target, I think, when you consider amount of people, and it depends on the arena, but a lot of times when I've gone to shows, like I went to a show at the Allstate in Chicago, and the security was pretty lax, as a matter of fact. It was just one guy taking tickets, and a table next to him, and that was no metal detectors, no nothing.
Well, I gotta admit that's something, but let's hit the last sentence here real quick. The general feeling regarding Seth Rollins' injury is that no one would have batted an eye if John Cena and Randy Orton were still currently active. What is that even supposed to mean?
Well, they're the top guys, and they always are seen as the top guys, and if particularly in the case of Cena, I don't know about Orton so much anymore, but in the case of Cena, it doesn't really matter who you lose because you've still got Cena.
Exactly. That's maybe it's not worded well enough to explicitly say that, but that is generally the tone around WWE, or at least what it seems to be, is that, well, whatever. At least we still have Cena to push and push and push and push. I think Reigns is probably going to be booed a little bit, no matter how he gets the title. But, that's just... They're just going to have to do it. They're either going to have to pull the trigger or not. And I think at this point, it's probably time to just go ahead and pull the trigger, which they'll probably do with the next pay-per-view, and have him beat Sheamus for the title.
I think they're actually going to wait and just do the thing at WrestleMania anyway. I mean, they've waited this long, and I think they believe that the more adversity he faces and the closer he gets to it, the more people will want to see him get it, which is true for a minority, but probably not true for the majority. But that's how they think.
Well, we still feel like he's the general second coming of John Cena, and there's not much the WWE has done to waylay our fears about that.
The what?
There's not much the WWE has done to make us not afraid that they're going to screw that up in one way or another. Yeah, I say the word waylaid. He goes on about how much sex you've had in your life or some stupid shit.
No. That's not what that word means at all. After the show, I'll teach you how to Google definitions. I'm not surprised that they were writing and rewriting the pay-per-view ending up until, the last minute. It seems like that's... we haven't heard it as much lately, but it used to be in the news section every week that they were rewriting Raw up until it was time for it to start. So that doesn't surprise me at all that they were, trying to decide what to do and going back and forth on it and rewriting again.
Well, I did say last week that I kind of didn't feel like it would be cashed in. I mean, everybody in the back of their mind during any main event moment like that thinks, this is going to be when the music hits or when the bro kick comes. But it did kind of seem like maybe they had some other directions they could have gone with it, with Ambrose and that whole thing. But of course, that really didn't play out, and we've got Sheamus for a little while, and
Yeah, I'm not surprised they had Sheamus cash in either, but we'll get to that later in the show.
Well, it seems that TNA has actually found a new home. They announced they signed a multi-year deal with Pop TV, which of course is the former TV Guide network, starting with a live Impact on January 5th, and then airing on Tuesdays thereafter. Paragon Pro out of Las Vegas was paying Pop for airtime, but they left the network soon after TNA's announcement. Bill Goldberg revealed that TNA called him last week, and the company is still looking for big names to help draw interest. Former TNA stars Austin Aries and Gunner were backstage at the latest NXT tapings. AJ Styles is currently not under contract to anyone and free to work where he pleases. Of course, he's got several big ROH and New Japan matches lined up. Kurt Angle revealed that UFC offered him $150,000 in 1997 for 10 fights, but didn't take it because he felt that the money wasn't there, and that the money was too low, rather. And that his new favorite match is with Bobby Lashley last year because it proved that he could still go at his age.
How funny is it that the wrestling company that was with Pop TV hears that TNA is coming to Pop TV, and they're like, nope, we're out. We don't want any part of that.
Just to play devil's advocate for 2 seconds, you couldn't think it would be because, I'll be perfectly blunt, no backhanded slap to Paragon Pro, but I've never heard of them. And if people have heard of TNA in one form or another, you don't think they were scared out of there?
Well, I think it's a simple matter of TNA is not is not paying Pop for the airtime, but Paragon was, and I guess it's sort of a matter of, if TNA is going to be the big dog on the network, they might think, well, let's not spend our money to try and get this exposure when all the attention's going to be going to TNA.
Exactly. I don't know why TNA would call Bill Goldberg. He's expressed nothing over the years except that he wants nothing to do with wrestling anymore. That I can recall. I don't remember him ever saying, yeah, I would want to go again. It seems like every time he's interviewed, he's like, no, I'm good on that.
I think he would if the circumstances were 100% really the way he would want it, which would be an exorbitant amount of money, a lot of praise, a lot of fanfare about him, and if he were to actually wrestle, which I don't know if he would even do that, to win, of course.
Well, most of those things are fine. I mean, he's Bill Goldberg. Like, if your wrestling company could announce, we've got fucking Goldberg back, that would be a huge, huge boon. Like Sting coming to the WWE big, Bill Goldberg coming back would be. He is one of those names, much like Stone Cold or The Rock, that even non-wrestling fans, maybe not so much Hogan, but he's one of those names that people who aren't even wrestling fans or have never even liked wrestling, they've heard of Bill Goldberg. They know who that is. So I mean, to get him to come in...
Yeah, I mean, not so much maybe today, if you're, a young fan today, but in the 90s, absolutely, he was a much like Sting, which, of course, WWE brought Sting in and everything. I mean, if you didn't watch WCW, you know who Sting is and his importance, or even somebody like, Randy Savage, who, wasn't really on the screen, but you knew who he was and everything.
Maybe not Hogan. I mean, I know he's old, but come on.
Austin Aries and Gunner at NXT tapings. That's I would love to see them come onto the roster. With Gunner kind of, but definitely double A or A double. I'm not sure. Double A was Arn Anderson, right? So it's A double for Austin Aries. I get confused. It's hard to keep track. Anyway, that guy's fantastic. Gunner's, he's a good, big guy, I guess, or whatever, from the little bit of him that I saw and the very small amount of TNA that I was able to force myself to sit through twice. That'd be cool. And maybe someday, eventually, on the main roster. Oh, we have a call coming in. We have a call coming in. Hello, caller. Hold on, caller. We can't hear you, buddy. Something is going on here where it is not putting through sound, but I will fix that very quickly, caller. Please don't go away. We are so glad that someone even knows our number. Oh, God. I don't know why it's not working.
Oh, we've got a phone call?
Yeah. It's probably Gunner. But I can't make it work. I don't know if they can hear me or us. I'm very quickly working, trying to figure out what's going on here. Why this is not... Yes, please stay with us.
Well, while that's going on,
yes, talk and I'll fix this.
Let's do the last one, Fearless Leader.
And it is Gunner. He just texted me.
Oh, that's not as exciting. But anyway, as first speculated by Jim Ross, WWE unfortunately announced that Cesaro has a left shoulder rotator cuff injury and will be out 4 to 6 months following surgery.
Oh.
Tough Enough runner-up ZZ will be out up to 6 weeks due to an injury suffered at the Performance Center, described as a miscommunication, but mostly his fault for not paying attention.
Jeez, and they want to bring this guy into the WWE? Oy.
Solomon Crowe asked for and was granted his release on Monday. Conversely, WWE has signed lucha star La Sombra. And Lana's heat with WWE officials right now is said to be nuclear due to her engagement reveal and a shoot Twitter fight with Paige in which she accused her of being a bully.
Wow. Well, sorry to see Solomon Crowe go. I like the dude. But I've seen some footage of La Sombra, and he seems like a pretty good young buck. The language barrier will be there, of course, being he's from south of the border, but once he gets that together, this kid could have a pretty good starring role ahead of him. I don't know, somebody has to have it in their head that, Lana is for some reason bad for the company all of a sudden, and I don't know why, because she was an amazing heel, not only a beautiful woman, but a heel that could, pretty much verbally smack anybody left, right, and center. And I know your biggest thing, WWE, is the be a star stuff, but come on. Two of your superstars are going to get into a verbal altercation sooner or later, and, you can't micromanage every damn thing on God's green earth.
But it really shouldn't happen on Twitter with these these public profiles and everything. It kind of seems like, and I think Paige or somebody even pointed this out. I think Paige said, "Stop trying to get yourself a storyline" or something like that. And when you, it just puts them in an awkward situation, much like the engagement reveal where Lana. They spend all this time, Lana, Rusev's pining for Lana. Lana's not hearing it. Ziggler's involved. Then Lana gets hurt. Then all of a sudden they're engaged, and they kind of have to switch gears.
Are you there, Gunner? Fuck. I don't know what happened. It's TeamSpeak, and he's on his lunch break, I guess. But I'm trying to fix it. Shit. This is the problem with doing a live show. But, we'll get this worked on.
1-812-408 woo. Anyway, what else can we say here? Tough Enough runner up. I have no interest in this guy. I really, if they bring him onto the main roster, it's just going to be one of those head scratching things. Cesaro is a great competitor, and why he was not pushed more is a thing of inconceivable stupidity to most wrestling fans. And the fact that they want to bring a guy like ZZ up is also a thing of incomprehensible stupidity to a lot of wrestling fans.
Well, I think, honestly, I do like CZ. I think he has an it factor. I think that's the reason why they're bothering with him at all. I watched that one episode of Breaking Ground that aired after Survivor Series, and I haven't been able to catch a lot of it, but I really felt like they were picking on him a little too much. I mean, they're really, from what I saw, I mean, he's not, he's not dashing around the ring or anything like some of the other guys, but yeah, he's also not quitting. He's doing the work. He's putting the time in. I mean, if it's conditioning, sure. You can't really teach conditioning. He's just gotta keep at it. I mean, I don't know. I think he's worth the prospect. I think ultimately what's going to happen though is that they're really going to get sick of him and just tell him, find your way somewhere else, and then maybe we'll take another look at you.
Well, I hope that's going to happen, but I really, really doubt it. I think we're stuck with him for a little while, and the only good thing about him is he hasn't made it onto NXT or the main roster yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. But thinking of waiting and seeing, I see that we've come to the end of the news, so what else is left?
Just the 15-minute time limit, but the goddamn bell isn't working either, so...
Dang, 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 dang. How's that?
Better than nothing. So Skype and fucking Winamp are shitting the bed right now, but that's neither here nor there. We need to talk about this pay-per-view. Starting with Goldust, the Dudleys, and Titus O'Neil defeating Stardust and the Ascension. This match happened, I guess, or whatever.
Okay, so the first traditional Survivor Series match, and, we were generally surprised when Goldust came out last and he was back, and he regained his feud with his brother Stardust.
I almost think that's what these matches can be anymore. Speaking about the traditional Survivor Series match, it just warms up the crowd. Just does a nice little thing. They really didn't have to do any of them. They both of these traditional tag matches happened at the last minute, and it was nice to have Goldust come out. It was actually supposed to be Cesaro instead of Titus, but of course Cesaro with his injury. Although everybody on the face team survived except Neville. Neville got pinned after a Bodog and a skull-crushing finale, so what's up with that?
Well, somebody had to get eliminated, so, Well,
they've done 5 Soul Survivors before, which, by the way, Soul Survivors, Soul meaning one.
Never, ever complain to the WWE about little technicalities like grammar. They won't listen.
But it was a fun match. I think this might have actually been the longest match on the show, even on the main show, unless the other elimination match was longer. But
I can't exactly remember it being longer. I think it was around the same time, but, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I thought the match was fun enough. It was a good warm-up, and at least it, killed us from the semi-drearity of, the panel just regurgitating stuff again and having little or no, the pre-show panel having little or no actual news and or interesting things to talk about the matches coming up on the card.
So to start the main card, we had Reigns defeating Del Rio to advance to the finals, of course. But this was actually a pretty competitive match, assuming Reigns was guaranteed to win. Also a pretty long match.
Yes, it was pretty interesting. You know, I have accused Reigns in the past of being carried by his adversaries in the ring in order to make the match better. I have to begrudgingly admit Reigns is slowly getting better. He's nowhere near where I would consider top tier talent to have the title, which we're all pretty glad that he didn't get it right yet, but still. He's getting better. The WWE just, and especially Vince and me mastodons, need to be patient about this because he is coming along.
He's not bad. In the ring, he's what you would expect, a giant Samoan to be. It's kind of like the Mike personality thing. He really needs to have someone else with him, be it a manager or a tag partner or something, or he needs to have somebody in the back maybe helping him a little bit. He's not awful. He's just not... He's not interesting, really. Aside from those Soul Eater fucking eyes that he has, which just creep me the fuck out.
I feel like that's kind of why they've gone back to the buddy-buddy relationship between he and Ambrose is with them a lot now. Speaking of Ambrose, he beat Kevin Owens to advance to the finals.
And that was a fantastic match, which, you would expect between him and Owens.
Yep, we've seen Dean in a lot of hard-hitting events, and Knockout himself is, guy full of interesting maneuvers and things you can't think that a big guy can normally do, he can do. So this was a fun match, and, you would think that somebody in the back, in creative, in the writing department would think maybe Dean or maybe Kevin would have a good shot at holding the title for a little while as an interim champion until Seth gets back, but yeah.
No. That's not going to happen. Not with Vince still around, for one. And the way creative is right now, for another. It would be interesting to have Dean as the champion so he could do his crazy shtick and, be all weird about having the title and, just running around fighting people because he's nuts. But I don't see it. And Owens, as great as he is, he doesn't really fit the mold of what a WWE champion is right now. Because he just looks like a fat guy. Like, I don't mean that to be mean or anything, but like if you just saw Kevin Owens walking down the street and you didn't know who he was and he was like, hey, you'd be like, oh, some fat guy just said hi to me.
Well, I think part of it is he's just fallen into the mid-card trap where, nothing he does really matters. Even if he's champion, right. He's walking out of matches. His promos are really, and I don't know if it's really him or if it's just kind of a general atmosphere, but his promos are really sort of, I'm going to talk like this. And then, really, the fact is, that's how I talk.
Yeah,
so we had this second.
Next up, we have Ryback.
Wow, you're really robotic there, Yanko. You all right?
You're kind of cutting in and out there, Omega. Am I robotic too? Jesus Christ.
No, you are. I'm not. Am I?
No,
Oh, you
from
were
what
cutting
I
out.
hear- Yeah. Yankum, you're okay right now, but a little while ago you were badly spotting. I'll make it so.
And now net gestures. Okay.
Really? Oh, jeez.
Are we good? No, you're fine. Jesus, titty fucking Christ on a cross.
What about you?
Gunner's
Seem
probably
okay to me.
listening
Am I
on
okay?
his phone and shitting himself right now. Yeah, you're fine.
You're okay.
And the Usos defeated Sheamus, King Barrett, and the New Day with Ryback.
Let's just
Jey
skip
Uso.
this match. That our exchange just a second ago was the match.
That's about all you can say about this match, except for, I love anything
the New Day entrance.
New Day. Yeah, anything New Day is fine by me. They can just come out and stare at the hard camera for 10 minutes, and I'd be fucking clapping like a trained goddamn circus seal. I would eat that shit up.
Damn, man. Yeah, the New Day, their entrance was wonderful, and I even liked King Barrett getting down with it, and Sheamus proving to be, sticking his foot in his mouth was very good.
Him being a dork is fine. That's what they should do with Sheamus. He should just be a total fucking dork.
But I must say this real quick. We must give a shout out to Xavier Woods' hair because he must
Oh my god.
fan of BBC television because he just looked exactly like Cat from Red Dwarf. No doubt about it.
Well, I mean, that's clearly, a relaxer job that he's gotten done in the style of, like a James Brown or something like that. It's fantastic. I love it. It's fucking cheap heat, on the level of, remember when Jericho used to wear that fountain on top of his head?
Oh, good lord.
Oh, it was so good. Anyway, Charlotte defeated Paige by submission to retain the Divas title.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but this match probably would have benefited from less time. It was a pretty okay, good, not great match. They did a lot of groundwork. They, a lot of leg locks,
It was a good wrestling match.
Yeah. And then they started getting goofy with it and tossing each other to the outside constantly. That happened 3 or 4 times. Paige gets up on the barricade and Charlotte with what was supposed to be a spear but was just bad.
Yeah, the match on Raw last night was way better than the pay-per-view match.
Well, it was better because it didn't have as much silliness. But they also ended it by count-out, which, this honestly,
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear the word revolution anymore. There's no such thing. It's over. It's,
At least until Bayley comes. When Bayley comes, that's when shit gets real.
We'll find out, but speaking of shit getting unreal, Tyler Breeze defeated Dolph Ziggler in a match I had.
I didn't even know that match was going to happen, and then I was like, oh, cool, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was pretty much everybody's, attitude when it hit, and, I just want to say that I don't think it's the best idea on God's green earth to make Dolph Ziggler look like he's a refugee from the 1980s. And I say this as a child of the 80s who grew up on all that fabulous metal that was pink and glammy and all shitty looking back on it, and all this Dayglow Neo orange and weird ass colors and stuff. They're just making Ziggler to look like something stupid. I mean, that outfit he had on, for crying out loud.
I'm pretty sure he picks that stuff himself.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the wrestlers do a lot of their own costuming, unless they're saddled with some kind of shitty gimmick or something. Anyway, this match, it wasn't a bad match. It was a good match. I enjoyed what I watched of it, and it's this feud that I don't care about in any way, shape, or form. And I wish this whole thing would just stop so that I could get off and then never look back. Ever.
Yep, exactly. But
moving on. Undertaker. Can I finish? Can I finish?
I could do that.
You did one. You did. What was it? You did one of them. I don't remember which one. Anyway, the Brothers of Destruction defeated Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper, and it was a cool match.
25 years of The Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, I can dig it. It was.
Yeah.
It
did what it was supposed to be. I mean, a nice little celebration. Not a major match and a blood feud or anything like that. It was just, the Wyatts getting beaten up again.
Yeah, and I mean that's basically all the Wyatts are right now, because creative is retarded.
There's something to be beat up right now, and that's about it. And I don't really care all that much. Creative. I don't know if it's Creative's fault or if it's the Wyatt's fault that I freaking lost the will even to say bunny cat from time to time. But
Oh, you're so lucky I'm not doing points this week. The Wyatt family is not what it should be. The Wyatt family should be like the Nexus was, except instead of being, targeted and, what's the word? Calculating. It should be random and just ruthless and brutal, and they should not be getting whipped every which way constantly.
Exactly.
I keep saying it. Bray Wyatt needs to be Charles Manson. That's what he needs to be. He needs to be the WWE Charles Manson leading his family. And why doesn't he have a diva? He should have at least one diva in there, maybe two. And they should just be wrecking everything and just the biggest threat.
I'll remind you that Vince is on record saying that one of the scariest films he's ever seen in his life is, what was it? Cape Fear? Yeah, that's that one. And we're not even talking about the remake that happened in the 80s. We're talking about the original that was filmed in either the late 40s or early 50s. So, yeah, this is what we're stuck with.
Well, let's move on to the main event here before we run out of time. Reigns beat Ambrose in about a 9-minute match. Wasn't too bad. They brawled, and it felt more like a Raw main event, the way they kind of brawled, and it ended pretty quickly. And I remember they were going for near falls, and it was only like 10:30, and that's your cue when something's about to happen.
Woo was all over this match, bitching about how it was less than 10 minutes, and between these, everybody on Woo has respect for Dean, and, not so much for Roman, of course, but, they thought that the two of these guys, former Shield members, deserved a lot more than just 10 minutes, and so very few people on Woo were surprised. Very few were surprised. They all pretty much hated it, but very few were surprised when the second thing happened, which was Sheamus came out to defeat Roman Reigns as he cashed in Money in the Bank.
They did. I don't know if they've actually done this before, where the confetti comes down and the fireworks start, and then somebody cashes after the fact. I always wanted to see that happen at WrestleMania. But yeah, I mean, it was very much to an end, which is very disappointing when to your point, NJ, the fact that these are two former Shield guys and these who should know each other pretty good, and they are pretty good buddies now, and then they kind of have a nothing main event compared to even Reigns' the two matches they had previously in the night. Not just Reigns and Del Rio, but Ambrose and Owens, and then it is what it is, I suppose. And Sheamus, they did a good job of every cash in is a little bit different, and they did a good job of making this one a little bit different.
Well, it is what it is, but it wasn't particularly good.
It was, but yeah, it was. That's about all I can say about it. I mean, I didn't not expect this at all. I just knew they weren't going to pull the trigger on Reigns yet, although I wish they would and just get it over with. But, I mean, that's about all I can say about it. Well, I guess that's it for the 15-minute time limit. I think we went over, but the alarm sounds aren't working. This episode, man. Let's just go ahead and do the Dairy Queen drive-thru. Yeah. Starting with the ratings, which will be read by me, Isaac Yankum. So Impact drew 202,000. That's down from the 277,000, which is the lowest total audience on Destination America. ROH did 114,000, down from 172,000. That's quite a fucking drop too. SmackDown drew 2.29 million, 2.229 million, down from 2.294. Raw drew 2.964 million, down 10% from 3.293 million, and a new non-holiday record low. Also, the first time the show has done less than 3 million viewers since 1997. Holy shit.
That's scary.
That's bad. Yeah, that's really scary. With the birthdays, it's Nurturtur.
You seem to be cutting out again. Well, while you check your system, I will say happy birthday for this week. For on the 24th, we have none other than the super diva, Beth Phoenix. On the 25th, we have Josh Matthews. On the 26th, we have the lovely Ivory, Brian Lee, Maven, and Johnny Riggs. On the 27th, we have 911, plus Evan Courageous, and legendary Davey Boy Smith. On the 28th, we have Brent Albright, Rob Conway, and Joel Maximo. Rounding out on the 29th, we have none other than John Bradshaw Layfield, Jerry the King Lawler, Mean Gene Okerlund, Hayabusa, Super Hentai, and Minoru Tanaka. You thought I'd screw that up, didn't you? And finally, on the 30th, we have none other than King of Peeps himself, Christian, Naomi, and Tom Zink. And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
I never get to do that one.
Yes, This Week in Wrestling History, circa 1967, where WWF ran Clearfield, PA, headlined by WWF World Champion Bruno Sammartino and Batman Tony Marino, defeating Smasher Sloan and Professor Toru Tanaka. Jump to 1979, where Bad Leroy Brown defeats Sweet Brown Sugar to win the Florida version of the NWA Southern Heavyweight title in St. Petersburg, Florida. And in 1996, Stephen Dunn and Flash Flanagan defeat the Grimm Twins, Ron and Don Harris, for the USWA Tag Team title in Memphis, Tennessee, ending the fifth and final reign for the Harris brothers. And that was This Week in Wrestling History.
I jumped the gun a little bit there. Now it's time for the Happy Trails. Happy trails to Davari, who told Extra Mustard that Stephanie McMahon wanted him to, at one point, play a patriotic character named George W. Bush. Really? I bet that would have went over like a lead balloon. Also, happy trails to John Morrison after Molina tweeted and then deleted a photo of his Cialis prescription. Oh, ouch. Alright, no points this week because Gunner's not here, and I wanted to concentrate on the conversation, which got sidebarred because I had to concentrate on why audio wasn't working. But it will return next week. For now, let's ask Omega BR, what do we want to watch this week, Omega?
From WrestleMania 13, watch Rocky Maivia and the Sultan, who was accompanied by Bob Backlund and the Iron Sheik.
Okay, and Nerd.
Still again with that trick mic of yours. Well, I'm just going to simply go with my video library, and I got something new. The Sting Into the Light DVD set. On that is a pretty good description of Sting's history, and one of my favorite matches on there is the match that happened fairly recently. It's
what?
What do you mean it's what? I just said it.
No, you didn't.
Oh, damn it. You're not the only one having technical difficulties, this damn keyboard. The one that happened recently was, relatively recently. This was from one of the last matches of WCW Nitro. Sting versus another one of my favorites, Diamond Dallas Page, for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Alright, and my match to watch this week is going to be the Divas title match on Raw, and the Divas match between Sasha Banks and gosh, why is her name blanking out of my freaking head? That's awful. The Irish girl with the steampunk gimmick.
Becky Lynch.
Yes, Becky Lynch. I don't know why I forgot her name. It's stress, apparently, from this whole thing we've got going on. Anyway, those two Divas match. The Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks match, because it was a fantastic Divas match. And the second title match between Charlotte and Paige, because while it started off a little sloppy, it got better, and then when the bell rang due to the double count out, it got even better because they started Paige really started like beating the shit out of Charlotte, and we don't get to see that with the Divas. They're not really portrayed as being as violent and like being capable of showing that absolute of throwing it in the air and people up on the announce table and doing moves on.
Yeah, that was dumb, by the way.
Well, fuck you!
Well, what is... You can't do a submission on the table. First of all, it's like a foot lower than the ring. So why does that... That doesn't make sense.
Well, not everyone.
Well,
but,
you can't...
Everyone can hear Yankum.
Look. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. It's a step, Omega BR. It is a step in the right direction. Okay, a submission move on the table, not as good as like a power bomb or something on the table, but it's a step in that direction where the divas are able to do things like that, whereas in the past you haven't really seen it. They're not shown as being, that aggressive, and that brutal because they're women, and for some, I guess, women will do that. Women
All after women, you're roboting.
brutal. Well, fuck. I give up. I'm putting up a text version later. You can check it out on www.mom.com. With that said, am I still roboting?
The name of the website one more time.
Bueller.
Website Bueller.
It's www.netjester'smom. Also, you can check us out on Smark/Snark, Twitter.com. It probably is. The word donkey was in there. Where was I? Twitter.com/SmarkSnark, Facebook.com/SmarkSnark. Email us at SmarkSnark.com if you want to be on the show, if you're a promoter or a wrestler or the guy that hands out popcorn or cleans the toilets at a wrestling event or whatever. We don't care. We'll have you on. You could call into the show at 812-408-WOO! That's 812-408-9666. I will have that fixed after tonight. Also, subscribe to a serious podcast where we... God damn it! NetJester?
Okay. Just let me finish this for once, okay? Once again, Facebook.com/SmarkSnark, Twitter.com/SmarkSnark, and don't forget SmarkSnark on .com itself. Its own. So, what do you say we leave Yankum to his...
Now just roboting. Fuck my life. This episode sucks. Let's get out of here before anything else breaks. As usual, I don't know if you can fucking hear me, but I love you. Omega loves you. NetJester loves you. Gunner's an asshole. And we wish you the best in your past, present, and future endeavors.
It has always been a fantasy of mine to be a sex slave for two bears.
No!
Take us out, Omega.
Good night.